Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the National Aging in Place Council. The San Francisco Bay Area chapter of the National Aging in Place Council is a local resource for seniors and the community to provide educational resources and services to seniors. Today, we have the pleasure of having a guest speaker here, Andriana, the co-owner of Move It Junket. Her company offers a full-service clean-out and move-out solutions for seniors. Andriana and her husband, Art, are passionate about helping the ease and stress of residents through compassionate service during the many transitions of moving and clearing out for life's new chapters. With over 40 years of combined service experience, her team works diligently as a reliable resource of references, assistance, and peace of mind for those who are overwhelmed with dealing with their tangible items during a downsizing and decluttering. So welcome myself and our members here at the National Aging in Place Council, Andriana. And let me pull in your video. There we go.
Hi, Christine.
Take it away. I am going to let you share your slide and I'm going to get myself off of the screen. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Can you guys see my screen?
Perfect.
Okay. Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Christine. We are part of the National Aging in Place Council, the San Francisco chapter, and we kind of already went over our mission. We are a nonprofit association comprised of in-home senior service providers and local organizations focused on aging issues all across the country. Today, Bill and I will be presenting about fall prevention and how to bring greater safety within the home. Again, I'm Andriana Mendez with Junket Move It, and a little bit later, Bill Essert will be speaking with Bay Grab Bar. And today I want to talk a little bit about kind of some statistics about the dangers of a fall in our senior community. And it is true that 6 out of 10 falls happen in the home every year. And 1 in 4 seniors fall every year, and about 1 in 5 of those causes a serious injury. An older adult is treated in the emergency room for a fall every 11 seconds, and falling once doubles your chance of falling again. And I think those are pretty staggering statistics and something to address here. And what are the causes of falls in the home? And there's a lot of different culprits here, starting with decline in physical fitness. And many adults become less active as they get older, which heightens the physical effects of aging. And failure to engage in even mild exercise on a regular basis reduces muscle strength, decreases bone mass, and a loss of balance and coordination and flexibility. Another is impaired vision. Age-related eye diseases can make it difficult, if not impossible, to detect fall hazard, like steps and puddles and thresholds. Even if a senior is in great physical condition, failing to see obstacles that they may walk into every day can really lead to a nasty tumble. Medication, this is a big one. A wide variety of medications can increase the senior's risk of falling. Side effects are things like drowsiness, dizziness, and low blood pressure can really contribute to an accident in the home. Chronic disease, health conditions like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, and arthritis cause weakness, poor grip strain, balance disorders, and cognitive impairment. Poor physical health increases a person's initial risk of falling, and it just kind of minimizes your ability to respond and recover from things like tripping or slipping. Surgical procedures, things like hip replacements and other surgeries can leave an elderly person weak, in pain, and in discomfort, less mobile than they were before the procedures. And this can be temporary, while healing can be a long-lasting problem. There's environmental hazards. The majority of falls in the elderly population occur in or around seniors' home, as we mentioned before, and environmental factors like poor lighting, clutter, areas of disrepair, loose carpets, slick floors, and lack of safety equipment can jeopardize a senior's safety in their own home. And lastly is behavioral hazards. A person's fall risk is really influenced by their unique lifestyle and behaviors. This includes types of activities that they engage in, the level of physical demand these activities required, and their willingness to and ability to adapt their routine and their lifestyle to bring in these enhanced safety factors. And so really a fall occurs because of one of those things. It's usually a combination of those things, and it can lead to a serious, possibly even life-threatening injury. In addition to, I guess, the physical part of a fall that can be really damaging is the emotional part of a fall. It can be very traumatic, and 27% of patients hospitalized after a fall suffer substantial post-traumatic stress, where 78% report feeling emotionally upset when they're reminded of a fall, and 74% report a change in future plans or hopes, as well as problems falling asleep or staying asleep. So again, it's a combination of both the physical and the emotional part that can really take a toll on people and their families. And there's also the financial impact annually. Over $50 billion are spent in medical costs related to non-fatal fall injuries. And this is everything relating from hospital stays, rehabilitation, nursing home care, doctor and professional services, community-based services, medical equipment, prescription drugs, and insurance processing. And then not to mention the things that are not related to money, things like disability, dependence on others, loss of time from work and household duties, and just overall a reduced quality of life. And so with that being said, we want to go back to what can we do to help prevent falls in the first place? How can we help? And so the first one I want to talk about is decluttering. A lot of homes that we go into, because we work with a lot of families and individuals in decluttering their home so it can be safer. The big one is clearing out walkways of junk and of extra items that don't need to be there. If you can imagine how many times a senior or someone inside the home walks to the restroom, to the kitchen, to the front of the house, those areas really need to be clear and free of extra things like books, papers, clothes, shoes. Electrical cords and telephone wires should be away from the main walking area, and just really to arrange the furniture in a way that low coffee tables aren't in the main walkway, so there could be a potential fall. So reducing that area and creating a nice free path, bringing floor space back. This is an example of a client's house that we went into, and in this corner, believe it or not, she had a lot of items that she accessed on a regular daily basis, for her kitchen and for her lifestyle. And it was a huge hazard for her to be able to have to reach over these piles, reach into these piles, and forbid that she would trip and fall into this area. It was just very problematic. And so we helped to kind of rearrange those items, move some of the things that were not essential inside her home, outside of that living space area of her house, the main area. So in the bottom there, you can see now she can access that rocking chair, sit by the window, look out the window. She can access the piano and play if she wanted. It just attributes to a greater sense of peace in her own home. And so that's something that we work with a lot. And the other thing that I talk about is the fire test, because a lot of times people maybe are in denial about how much stuff that they have in their hallways, in their walkways, and in the main area of their home. And we ask them to think about, if you were in your room sleeping at night and God forbid there's a fire and the alarm goes off or some type of emergency, how long would it take you to get out of your home and into the street or somewhere of safety based on how much clutter there is? So, and it's, if it takes more than a minute, I think you could really be in trouble. And sometimes by doing that test, it helps people see, okay, yes, maybe I need help. Maybe I do need to get rid of this pile. Maybe I do need to declutter my hallway. Maybe I do need to just go through my things and not have so much stuff in my home that isn't essential to my daily living inside the house. Another service we work with is rearranging excessive items. Again, a lot of times people have a lot of things in their home, in and around their home, that they don't necessarily need for their daily life. And we can help organize those. Totes are our best friend. Getting maybe things like crafts, holiday supplies, seasonal things that you don't need on a daily basis to survive in your home, getting those organized into totes, putting them nicely into closets, bringing them to the garage. The bottom picture there is, organizing things so they're just out of the space and create a more free space inside the house. And it's nice because people can look out in their garage or look in their closet and they can still see it. And so they still feel like, okay, I still, if there's an attachment to those items, they can still see it. So there's comfort in having that still, but not having it in a place that could potentially cause a fall for them. And then there's moving helpful items into safe reach, or, those daily things like clothing, toiletries, plates and dishes, bringing those into a place that is easily accessible by individuals so they don't have to do excessive reaching or bending to get to these items. And then removing items of hazard. Like we talked about, not having a ton of piles of things or things that are stacked really high, because we want to avoid things falling down on people's heads and possibly causing a concussion or anything worse possibly. So just removing those items of hazard overall. And then removing personal items. This is tends to be a more difficult one. A lot of times this is in the case that if someone has passed away and they've lost a loved one, and there maybe is a lot of items left over from that individual that don't necessarily need to be in the home anymore, and is causing clutter and is causing excess items to be in the house. We can help going through and removing those items. We do it with a lot of patience and compassion, understanding that this is a really sensitive time and topic. And if someone's arrived to a place where they realize they need to go through these things, and we just help in sorting through, okay, if it's clothing and things like that, it's just, putting those together in boxes and putting those out maybe for donation, and just, like I said, minimizing those things, a person who's no longer living in the home and they just don't need to be there anymore, and just bringing the home back to a place that's, like I said, safe and clear free. And then with that is rehoming usable items. And sometimes this is furniture, if there's been a downsizing move, or maybe they're moving into a smaller area of the home. Sometimes it's clothing, sometimes it's trinkets and decor and accumulated items that people collect over the years. It's, I think, natural that people tend to have small collections of things, and over time, in some cases, these items can really take up a lot of space and kind of create, again, that cluttered situation that you're trying to avoid when we're trying to avoid falls, avoid having excess items in the home. And so we try to work with individuals in phases to not overwhelm them with going through their things. And a suggestion that we always give is, let's take photographs of the items that you have before we donate them, or before we have an estate sale, or before you give them away, just so that way they have maybe a scrapbook or a photo book, just to have those memories. I find that people are really attached to certain things, and by having a photograph that they can reference back to and look at makes them feel good. And then they can realize, okay, now it's time to pass it on. And in other ways, maybe if it's larger items like furniture, desks, beds, and things like that, we can help relocate those to a local relative's home if there's someone in need of them, or to a storage unit. And then, of course, consignment, if that's an option, if there's things that are in better condition, or to donations, local charities, and things like that who may need those furniture items. And lastly is cleanouts. This is kind of the last portion of decluttering. This is getting rid of unwanted and damaged items. A lot of folks that we work with have, they've been living in their home for decades at this point, and they've accumulated a lot of things. Maybe, they've got boxes, they've got furniture, things that are just no longer of use to them. And so I try to remind people that, when they come to a time where, maybe the garage looks like this, and it's sitting in the garage, they're not using it anymore, or maybe it's broken, and people have a sentimental attachment to things. But when you put it in the perspective of, look, these items out there in your garage, or maybe in your backyard or in the shed, are causing a hazard for you because you can't get around them to get to the things that you need. Because maybe sometimes people store, their extra food in totes or in a pantry in the garage, and so it's causing a hazard. So doing a clear out, and just reminding people, we know you've invested a lot of money in this 40 years ago, but think about it in terms of that investment. You've got, that item has lived its best years. You've gotten great years out of it, because people have a hard time letting things go. But putting it in perspective of, look, you've had X amount of years, and that means X amount of months and days that it got use. And so that's just giving people ease of mind, that, hey, yes, okay, I've used it for what it was needed for, and it's time to get rid of it. And the other thing that we do sometimes, if we're doing a bigger decluttering job or a bigger hauling job, is to just tell the family or tell the couple, whoever it is, hey, maybe do you want to step out for lunch? Or, the weather's great today. Why don't you go on a walk? Just to kind of remove the clients from their home so they're not watching us go through things. I think it makes people pretty nervous to watch you taking away their things, that especially things that they've spent many years living in and around. And so by having them step away, we come in and do our decluttering work. And then when they come back, it feels refreshing. It feels like, hey, I have a clear walkway now. I can walk into my garage safely. I'm not worried about tripping, or I'm not worried about my wife tripping out there. We're clearing walkways, walking up to the home. And so that's just the tactic that I like to use, just so it makes it a friendlier transition for people. And just with the overall goal in mind of letting people and allowing people to age gracefully at home in comfort and in safety, whether it be for them, their family members living with them, and for just the good of everyone. And my name is Andriana Mendez. We are Junket Move It. This is my contact information. I appreciate your time today. And if you'd like to connect with us on social. And with that, Christine, I believe you're going to be introducing Bill.
Thank you. I never thought about if I told a senior, hey, go stand at the corner of your house, and then I'm going to time you to see how fast you can get from the door to here with all of the stuff anyway. That is such a compelling statement. I never thought to ask a senior that, because it is such a fire hazard, and especially with California on fire right now. It just really makes you think. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. So many much great information, and just all the services you provide. Happy to connect with seniors all across the Bay Area. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you. I'm going to stop your video and bring in Bill. All right, our next presenter is Bill Essert. Bill's professional life has always had two themes: keen attention to detail and the aesthetics. He brings those abilities to Bay Grab Bar, which creates safe, artful living spaces for seniors seeking to enjoy security and independence at home. His passion for this line of work started years back when his mom, Mary, took a severe fall. While Mary was in recovery, Bill restructured and redesigned her home to prevent further accidents from happening. What started as his son's duty led to his professional pursuit. So thank you, everyone, for welcoming Bill to our presentation. Let me start. Hi, Bill. Thank you for popping in. We appreciate that. Let me mute myself. Oh, you're muted, Bill. Oh, there you go.
So I guess that is called tooting my horn. Great to have everybody here, and a little about home safety and living at home safely, to pick up on Andriana's earlier talk about decluttering. Some of the steps that I'll talk about really are some of the modifications you can do after you've decluttered. And on the heels of that wonderful introduction, thank you, Christine, for having me. Here's a picture of Mary and Bob, my mom and dad. And I often will start with a story. I'll kind of curtail it or shorten it a little bit, because it really, everybody in this line of work at NAIPC working with seniors, seems like everybody I talk to has a personal story, whether it's a family or a friend, or in this case, my mom, Mary, who's an amputee, had this terrible fall. And while I was visiting her, I was able to, after this terrible fall, as a retired contractor, I brushed off my tools, or my dad's tools in this case, in Arkansas, where they live, and installed ramps, railings, and grab bars. So when she returned from rehab after about 3 weeks of emergency and rehab, et cetera, so she could get into the house and use her house and come in the door, not the front door, but through the garage where we built the ramp. Then she and my father continued living in their home independently and safely. So let's see, I'm going to share my screen here. I've got a couple slides to look at in a few minutes that we have. Let's see. Shazam, and it should be working now. Tell me if it is not, Christine. Sharing screen is failed to start. Okay.
Okay, hold on. Let me try to help you here.
Okay, yes. Your help is welcome. Try again. Try a different screen here. There we go. You got that now?
We're good. We see it.
Okay, very good. And I'm good. So, so jumping into this screen here. You know, I already said this in so many words, but my job really is, and the job of Bay Grab Bar and my team is to make minor physical, cost-effective modifications to your home to increase its safety, ease of use, comfort, and security. And we do that artfully. That's really comes down to handrails, fall prevention modifications, and safe, artful living at home. As the name implies, Bay Grab Bar, a lot of our work starts with the grab bar, and then we'll move from a grab bar into some other areas. But this shot here is showing some of the essential elements for maintaining safety in your home. So many of the falls that do happen in the home occur in the bathroom. Makes sense. It shouldn't, but I mean, it makes sense. We're wet, maybe soapy, vulnerable, naked, all these things, and falls and hard surfaces, slippery surfaces, and alone as well, and in a small space. So that's why falls happen, but they can be really reduced, if not eliminated, by the installation of some basic grab bars. And these pictures are just showing a few different types of grab bars in different orientations, whether it's around the toileting area, or in the shower or the bathtub. In addition to kind of the standard grab bar, which I call the peened grab bar, it has a peened finish. That's the safest bar. It's not a slippery bar like a polished bar or even a brush bar. It has a little bit of texture to it. In addition to that whole classification of peened bars, there are designer bars. Some people have innate resistance against the grab bars. So we can get them safer by thinking about something a little more decorative that fits their design palette. And here we're featuring some other Moen bars in a old world bronze finish to give you an example of just one of the looks, but there's lots of different looks. Some are traditional, some are more contemporary. And in addition to grab bars, we get involved in helping people in areas where their elevation changes. That's the other place where falls occur quite often, is going into the house or out of the house, into the garage, into the back patio. Occasionally it's a sunken living room or sunken dining room. I've been working on a project lately where that's the case. There's an entry and then there's just one step down, but it's just really, really dangerous for the client. And that's where, you know, a fall had occurred. So very important to address those areas that if you've fallen there before, let's fix it, right? So at Bay Grab Bar, a lot of times we are the fix-it guys or the fix-it people. The left picture is featuring kind of a spiral staircase where we're installing a modular system, and that system made by Promenade is available in lots of different finishes, everything from a wood finish to metal finishes, stainless steel looks, and even pre-finished wood. So if you wanted that kind of red oak look or a Douglas fir look, they have different species available. And sometimes it's a matter of retrofitting something that's already there. Like the center picture is showing a railing, or looks like a railing or a banister, but it really didn't have something you can put your hand around. So we installed a railing on top of that you can actually put your hand around with our opposing thumb. That's where we get our strength, to use your entire hand. Moving right along. Railings are another part of our work, and those are typically inside or outside, as these pictures show, but we also do indoor railings. Here again, featuring elevation changes. And there's different mediums and different types of railings, whether it's wrought iron, and these three are all in different wrought iron configurations. Earlier, I was mentioning the resistance to the grab bar, something that we encounter quite often. And how can we get over that? Well, whether it's the designer idea is one. Another is utilizing the grab bar in addition to something else. And here we call that the 2-in-1 or the 2-for-1. So you get a grab bar, but at the same time, you're getting a toilet paper holder. And a lot of times you need to put a grab bar where the toilet paper holder is already. So this kind of combines the two. You remove the old toilet paper holder and put the grab bar in the right place, but you still have a place to put the toilet paper. Same thing in the shower, whether you need a shelf to put your shampoo, your conditioner, etc. But it also makes sense that's a right location or correct location for a grab bar. And Moen has several different 2-for-1s. The last one featuring here is for a towel bar. So often we see the towel bars pulled out of the wall because they're not really designed for grab bars. So we'll go back in and take that towel bar out and go back in and replace it with a grab bar that's rated as a grab bar, truly strong, rated over 350 pounds, but it's also a towel bar. So you keep the towel off of the grab bar, so it's always clear for safety, but it still has a place to put your towel, so it's convenient when you get out of the shower. A couple of miscellaneous areas are transfer poles. These are particularly useful where a grab bar can't be installed, getting into a sunken tub or getting it out of a bed. Or sometimes there's a showering arrangement where there's glass all around and you can't really install a grab bar. So we'll put a transfer pole nearby. Very useful safety device and easy to install and to move. So it's very flexible. If you put it, say you did install it by your bed, but maybe you needed it by your recliner. Well, a friend, a loved one, even yourself might be able to do that, or certainly you're welcome to call us. Lastly, the last area is getting in and out of the house. I spoke earlier about Mary and Bob and how when she came home from the hospital, she was in a wheelchair. So ramps are necessary. So often when people are coming back from a medical illness or a hospital stay, and whether it's just a small threshold ramp, which might be suitable for a walker, or in the middle, a temporary suitcase ramp, which is movable and relocatable pretty easily. And then the last picture is kind of like a full-on ramp. And these are all made by Easy Access. And the one on the right includes railings. And this ramp is shown about 10 feet, but we'll do them much longer, up to 50, 100 feet for more complex areas. Getting near the end of my slide deck here, just letting you know some other kind of visual candy to see what a white grab bar would look like, and another way to get over that hump of grab bar fear. And let's see, that's really just a very quick overview of different ways to address safety in the home. Picking up on what Andriana was talking about, cluttering. The other very basic things are really good lights, upgrading your lights to LED, but with a very bright, much brighter bulb, 100-watt equivalent in an LED. It makes a huge difference from what people might have in there, a 40-watt bulb. And then contrast, showing contrast where there are elevation changes by basically putting a piece of tape at the nose of the step. And this is probably the thing I most often point out to people when I'm doing an assessment is the throw rugs. And people realize they like their throw rugs, but they really are fall hazards. So when you're doing the decluttering, also be sure to remove any or all throw rugs, whether throughout the house, but certainly in the bathroom for sure, because it's so easy to catch a toe and have a fall. And that's wraps up my presentation. I think I'm going to hand the baton back to Christine and see if we have some questions. Thank you again.
Bill, yes, we do have a question. A question from one of our attendees is, what are some aesthetically pleasing solutions you provide for those sunken living rooms that we all hate?
So the one I'm working on now is a couple different ways to approach it, depending on the client and what's going on. If they're in a wheelchair, obviously a ramp's going to be necessary. But if they're in a walker or just need a little help, installing a railing system, a wrought iron railing system can work very nicely in a traditional home, and that can be standalone, like even in the middle of one of those sunken areas, so that you could use it on either side when you're going up that step, or maybe it's a two-step. You can use it on your right hand, and then vice versa. When you're coming down, you would go down the other side of that. And by having just one railing, you can use it in both up and down. So wrought iron is one possibility. The promenade is another possibility, where it's the posts are anchored into the floor, into the structure of the home, and secure and able to give you that security as you're making that step.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I also just want to add that when families are dealing with their loved ones, 90% of the calls that I get for placement services to go into assisted living communities are a result of a fall. So if you want to prevent going into assisted living and you want to age gracefully in place in the comfort of your own home, please reach out to Move It Junket and Bay Grab Bar. Bill, can you send us out with one more tooting of your horn? Thank you, everyone. That is it for National Aging in Place Council. If you would like to get in touch with us, please reach out to us at sfbayarea@aginginplace.org. And you can look at our local chapters at aginginplace.org, SF Bay Area. Thank you, everyone, for participating.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Andriana.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.